beeswax was a currency in some countries, right? So very unique, and for me, I grew up in the business, and to really go into the background of the whole industry, it really opened my eyes to see all the different things that are going on with honey and mead and all that. So basically, that's how I got into it. I kind of started reading, reading about mead, and I started test batching it. And I think the first batch I did, I wasn't really too sure, what was going on. I was fairly new at it. I just kind of did what I read, and I come up with a batch, and then I wasn't really too sure if that was the way things are supposed to be going. So I think I rented a kit of like a wine kit just to see how it worked, and then from there I could see that it worked that way, and the honey was following along. So I never ever made a wine kit again. I always make mead.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to look back and see kind of where it all started. So
yeah.
Yeah. So did those first batches? Did you take them to the hockey team and they were like, "Oh, dude, this is really good, eh?"
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We need to make more of this, don't you know?
There was a lot of batch ones and batch twos and things like that, and the guys were kind of chuckling. But yeah, everybody liked it, and they were drinking it. But the problem is they're all beer drinkers, so then they grab a bottle of wine and they start drinking this stuff like it was beer. And they were some pretty happy hockey players after.
I did that once.
Once, yeah.
I think everyone's done it once.
Yeah.
You had too much when you go to get up and your legs don't work anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was the once.
You feel good, and you're like, wait, why don't my legs work?
Mm-hmm.
No, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I think, as I played around making batches, and the dry, and the reason I made dry mead first is, and that's the first mead that I ever made, was because I was used to drinking a dry grape wine. So, I tailored it to, be a little bit on the drier side. And so I made drier meads right off the hop. And then I started making sweeter meads later on. I realized after going to the Major Cup and that I went about it backwards. Most guys make sweet meads and then go to try to make dry, but I come at it the other way around. So.
Deep end of the pool is what you're saying.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, though, it's paying off. I mean, AJ she's drinking your dry, and she doesn't like dry mead, and she likes this.
Yeah.
I typically don't, but the amount of body on this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice dry. It's not the driest that I've made. I've made drier, but it's kind of it's a real fine line you got to walk there. Like when you start making dry mead, if you ferment off all the sugars, then you just got a watery alcohol, right? So if you got to leave a little bit of body in it, and really nice. I like a dry mead. Get something spicy into you, like a jerk chicken or something along that line, and then that subtle honey in the background will really pop up to you.
I think that's always been one of my problems with dry meads, is that a lot of dry meads, both home and commercial, tend to walk too close or even over that line to where you've lost that structure. That depth that it has when you still got the sort of honey body going on, and that's one of the reasons why I kind of steered away from them, because so many of the ones I was trying had crossed that line.
Right. Yeah. It's a real balancing act, and and I can say I've made dry mead for a lot of years, but I've had a few batches that just it goes way beyond. where it should be, and just like, what do I do with this now? But
tongue remover.
I guess I'll drink it.
Take it to the hockey team. They don't care.
Yeah, there you go. They'll drink anything.
They'll drink anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want to waste it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's right.
You wouldn't be. Think of all the amusement you could have at their at their expense once they've had so much of it. It's just like,
yeah, that's right.
Fun stuff. Yeah. Go ahead,
Yeah.
try to get it. Yeah, you can skate like that. Go for it.
Yeah.
Well, even more important, you can stop. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah, go up there and go, look, I'll bet you can't do a camel. Watch me do that you can't do that on hockey skates when you haven't been drinking. So.
No, that's right. Yeah. So so that's that's how I started, and then I got pretty consistent in making the dry. So somewhere about 90, 98, 97, I seen from the Alcohol and Gaming Commission in Ontario here in the LCBO, and it had draft proposal stamped on it, and it listed the criteria that I had to meet to be able to manufacture mead in the province of Ontario. So I looked down that list and I went, I have no problem meeting any of these standards. But so I filled out the paperwork and I kind of thought, well, I'll just let them deal with me now. The ball's in their court. But it took me probably about 2 years to get through all the red tape because, first of all, they really didn't know what to do with me because, the one thing they said, you got to have 100 hives. Well, I got 3,000 hives. But they want 100 hives on site. And I'm going, I can't have 100 hives here. They'd starve to death. There's just not enough in the area for them to forage on. So, and I'm going, I understand what you're kind of trying to say, but I says, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be able to pour a glass of mead to somebody, and they're not going to go scrolling through the beehives out decide it's just not going to happen like they would stroll through the vineyard type of deal. So
it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, so a little bit of back and forth with them, but finally about January, I guess, of 2000, I was finally fully licensed here where I could actually sell a bottle and manufacture it. And my year ends January 31st, so I waited to February of 2000, and that's when I started selling mead. And I think it was right around there that, I haven't had to try a whole lot of meads, and I think that's when Planet Buzz started. Was it 2000 or 2001?
It was right in that time. Yeah, it was right in that time frame because I came in right after Planet Buzz was over when they started the Mead Festival. That was when I got
right.
Because I was actually involved in the Colorado stuff earlier than that, but then Planet Buzz went, and I kind of was out of it for a few years, and then it came back to Colorado.
Right. Yeah. So the Planet Buzz was down in Chicago, and I went down to that, and the reason I really went was like in Ontario, I could have Moniac, I could try that, but there was very few meads that you could actually try. So I said, I need to go and try more than just a few what I can get here. So it was a great thing, and then that's how I ended up starting to go to all the ones down in Boulder, and it's a great time because it's kind of a unique thing where you can go and everybody's from all around the world, the Polish guys and Costa Rica, and you're all in one room and you're all drinking mead and having a great time. And it's if any of your listeners out there have not been down to the Major Cup, make it an annual. It's all worthwhile.
Oh yeah, we keep telling AJ she got to get her pass.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm curious, had you ever tried mead before you started making it?
No, not too much. No, I just kind of read it. Like, when I started making mead, I had no idea of anybody that was really making it in Ontario. And, I had tried, some of the heavier meads, like more along your Polish style and the Polish buckwheat meads and kind of along that style. But never really, too much. And that would be stealing out of my dad's filing cabinet when I was like 12, 13 years old, right? So,
Okay, so not legally then.
yeah. But anyhow, that's where I tried it, but I had no concept that of how to make it. So I just kept studying and kept doing batch after batch. And you can ask my wife, Chris. I made lots of messes in the kitchen and all over the floor and all over the place. So yeah, she'll vouch for that for sure. So, but yeah, I made but that's how I got going. So, and we just once I kind of got a base recipe down, and then it wasn't too hard. You didn't have to vary it off it very much. You just sweeten the product up and keep moving up the ladder and keep on going. So that's how I kept on going with it.
That's pretty cool. So you guys came by the whole honey thing. I mean, aside from the fact that you have to have it in order to make mead in Canada, but you guys already had the bees. I mean, you've pretty much been around bees your whole life, right?
Yeah, I was born and raised with bees, and I've been in bee yard since I was 5 years old. So, so I've been around bees, all my life, and yeah, for so the company's 102 years old, just packing and selling honey in the province of Ontario, and then the mead thing was kind of something that started really in my basement and just kind of grew up to take over a little corner of the plant, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. So it's kind of, for me, it's kind of rewarding because it's something that started out very small and just kind of for myself, and now I have bigger tanks and I can sell it and all that stuff. So, yeah.
How did you? We actually had somebody send in a question that sort of is applicable in your case, well, in a lot of the cases for the pros. But Jerry McGinnis, hey Jerry, if you're listening, had sent in asking. He's fixing to get his final approval in Georgia, and is fixing to transition, from carboys and making his regular size batches. Though I don't know how big his carboys are, to that bulk level. And I think he's kind of curious about. How do you make that jump? Is it just a matter of taking your 5-gallon recipe and multiplying it by 50, to go into a tank, or is there a little bit more to it than that?
Yeah, well, it just depends on what size of tank you're going into, but yeah, basically that's what you do. You just take that smaller size, and then you start, if you used 5 pounds of honey, then you start adding on to, how many of those carboys go into that tank. So I think I went from a 23-liter carboy to, they're 1,000-liter tank, but they call them a 1,000-liter tank. But really, when everything's all said and done, you can only do about 800 liters in one of those tanks. So, and that's basically what I ferment out of, is just these little stainless steel 1,000-liter tanks. So you just kind of take that recipe and just kind of, work it up and go from there. And that's basically how I did it.
So when you I'm assuming that as you experimented, made messes in the kitchen and stuff, you sort of played with yeast, and did you come up with some yeast that you prefer, or are you basing them more yeast based on the recipe, and it just varies based on the recipe?
No, I played around with a lot of yeast, but I get more into like a champagne yeast, something that's got a little more punch in it, so that's going to push that product down through. Because anybody that's fermented mead knows that it can be stubborn, and it doesn't like to finish off completely sometimes on you. So I found that a few yeasts that I K1's nice up here and stuff like that, but it'll drive that product down to get it to ferment all the way is kind of crucial.
Hey, I have a quick. Yeah, go for it.
I have a
quick question on the larger batch size. I've always been curious about this. I'm no interest in going commercial myself. I just enjoy the hobby aspect. When you're going into the larger batches, especially you're getting up around 800 liters. I mean, that's a pretty huge departure from 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,